A little earlier than expected. 30 minutes earlier, actually. It's because I got ready a little early, but I don't think anybody's complaining. Gotta do my usual announcement. Today, I'm gonna work on there's this like ongoing weekly update challenge thing going on where I'm trying to finish a game with the community this year. It's kind of like a upkeep, checkpoint, encouragement type of thing. So I was originally thinking that I'm not going to work on those games on stream because I have another game that I'm working on for the stream. But I kind of got into oh wow, these notifications have no names. Thanks for the sub or follow, wherever you are. Anyways, I was just saying. So I'm going to be working on the weekly update game today because I have a fresh thought on it. Namely, I was in the middle of balancing or choosing a skill for like the skill tree. It's exciting. It's exciting for me, at least. So we'll see how that goes. Let's go full screen here. I got to make an announcement. Let's see. Gotta make sure I get everything set up properly. All right, stream viewers, actually live early on Twitch. And there are 2 videos out right now, by the way. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. It was a mistake. Actually, one of them was supposed to go out on Friday, but I messed up the scheduling. And then I had the both video go out at the same time, which I don't think is good for my algorithm, but it is whatever. It's already done. Spilled water. Hey, Conic. Thanks. Conic's like, big fan. We all know. We all know you're an insider. No tricking me. But yeah. Hey, Void. Void with the first out here. Yes, I know. I'm early. So look at this. I was just kind of like jotting down. At first I was like, you know what? I'm going to do these like first combat experience so that I can like feel the gameplay even without implementing it. So you can see like, I guess I should pull up the mockup first. I don't have the mockup on this computer. Mockup is on the other computer. Well, I think I can pull it up somewhere here. Hold on. I shared it to some people. Zedzek says, hi. Hi, Zedzek. Hey, good to see you. This is the first time seeing you on stream after you joined us as part of the weekly challenge, huh? Did I just speak English? Weekly challenges. Okay, so the idea of this one right here, I was thinking that these will be like different tiles and distance that you can move into. I was even thinking like jumping, like in mid jump, with like there will be some aerial stuff going on. It's cute and all. So, oh my gosh, I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. My goodness. I'm gonna spit out my gum here in a bit. Sorry, I know that's probably really distracting. Thank you, Void. So this is the mock-up. This is the whole like the RPG game that I was talking about that I'm trying to work on. Conic says, "Is this a new project?" It kind of is. So if you have been following, I'm doing these weekly updates. It's a series. There's a playlist called We're Indie. And then the intention was that I was trying to finish a game, and then I wanted to encourage everybody to finish along with me, meaning I was sharing my pacing, my plan, what I'm doing, and what I have done in a week in hopes that we all share what we've been doing. I actually seen Mr. Red update on the comment what they have been doing, which is cool to see. So as part of that, I came up with a new idea, and this idea right now is the, you know what, go check out the video. I don't want to explain too much on it. There's a video that I release, but I want it to be like this like roguelike thing where it's kind of similar to Slay the Spire, but then there's like important locations on the map that gets generated, and then each slide is like combat oriented, and it's about like making a build rapidly. And because I like Baldur's Gate 3 right now, that's kind of the feeling I'm trying to go for. And then Connie says, can I join that too? Yeah, of course. If you go to our Discord right now, here, you can also update it with your updates. A lot of people are joining these days. Oh gosh. Is this a spam? Ah, I knew it. Here, time to ban this guy. Everybody. No, don't do it. Hold on. I'm sure we have Discord mod out here somewhere. Ban. Suspicious or spam account. Delete message history. Yes. Did that work? It did. Nice. My goodness. This is what I get for leaving Discord invites out there. But yeah, now I was saying in our Discord channel we have this section called My Game Progress. That's now, it used to be the what section was it? It was the Game Jam update section. Now it's like you do your little weekly updates and progress report here, just kind of sharing with people. So far, it's like thin enough that I don't feel like we need to make it into like a thread format or, you know, forum format. So as you can see right here, I do like, hey, here's my first post. Here's my week's goal. This is what I'm doing. And then I did another update here. So yeah, Conic, go ahead, jump on in. Go post your ideas here. Try to pace with me. If you go to this video, I mean, I tell you what I'm planning to do and what I have done. So, whoops. Yeah, so you can kind of match with that. That's the idea. We'll get it done. We'll get it done. Kitsugi says, hi, long time no see. It's been a while. Okay. And then I think there was a Discord message that I ignored because of all the spams. Let's see. Dimitri says, Ezra, do you do your editing for your YouTube yourself, or do you have an editor? If yourself, how did you learn and what do you use? I guess I should answer that. Hey, Dimitri, I do most of them myself, especially the earlier in the channel and the recent ones. But I did have a moment where I started looking into using editors and have used editors. You can kind of tell when I used editors. But I do a lot myself, and I like using DaVinci Resolve because it's really good for freeware. Hey, another sub. Thanks for a sub, Wilson. I wish I could fix the notification so that the names actually shows up, but that's my issue. It seems like I knew this. I recently released the whole like financial aspect of game development thing and my plan and how you can make a dream out of it, whatever. I knew it was going to do well, but it's doing a little bit too well. I'm like, hey, like I'm not actually telling you how to do this. I'm just telling you my insight on this. And it seems like that's a little bit resonating with people. I knew that was going to do that. Anyways, that's enough distraction. So today I was saying that that RPG game thing that I wanted to do, I wanted to just kind of test out in my head what that combat looks like. So I started doing this of like, okay, the first thing that happens, what should the fight be? And you can see that I have number one enemy. There's two enemies here. Number one enemy signals in the like the Slay the Spire style. And there's a incoming melee damage for 3 damage. And then the second enemy will be like, oh, there's a range damage incoming for range 2 at damage 1. And then player, given the options that player has, player can either attack through in hopes that they hit pretty well, or move back, meaning you can move in order to dodge. So that's an option. So then, there's this like second wave of decision. And I can already kind of tell like, okay, this allows me to die in a like first turn and learn from my mistake. And then it gives me an opportunity to kind of readjust my strategy and this feels good. And then I was just kind of thinking about like, what is a reward? Because in Slay the Spire, it feels satisfying because every point of interest kind of leads you towards a goal, like which is a build. It gives you gold. It gives you a card to choose from. So I need something that's equivalent to a card. So I was starting to come up with like some of the upgrades that are like cards that could come as a reward. And so I was coming up with all these things, and I was like, oh my gosh, some of these things are way too strong. So I was splitting into like common and rare so that I can have a better understanding of where to release it from. And then I started coming up with these like, okay, well, just plus ones on things are really boring. So I want something special. So I started listing all the special like RPG like mechanics that I could add to it where you can combo. And then I was like, you know what? Like having a talent tree is probably something that's like very close to the whole RPG likeness. So that's how I'm going to tie it to the RPG-ness of the game. So I'm going to now massage some of these ideas, build it into a talent tree, and decide which of these abilities are part of the talent tree and which of these abilities should be part of like item builds. Because, you know, like stuff like I have this thing, which I thought would be an item or like a rare item, like a relic, where refreshing hit gives you dealing melee damage reduces random ability cooldown by 1 turn. So, so something like that. So I'm just kind of like doing some designs here. But I also don't want to do too much where I'm having to do like too much balancing from the first prototype, because my goal still is to finish at least like the paper prototype or playable prototype on week 1 or week 2. So I'm trying to do that right now. Voice as I see, yeah. Conic says, also, I think I should mention this. You're one of my most followed in YouTube, but earlier I realized I never got notification for your videos. They haven't showed up on my feed either. I had to click the bell button. Ooh, I should probably tell people to do that. I did notice that the whole like subscription thing on YouTube doesn't really do much anymore in terms of notification, which is kind of silly. Bruno says, hello, Urza. Good. What's new? Sorry, bad English. No, it's okay. I am Ezra, and I am doing well. Thanks for joining us, Bruno. I don't think I've seen you on stream before. I don't recognize the name. Sorry if I'm forgetting you. Sometimes it happens, but I'm glad you're here. We're making our games. Also, this is something that I never do, that I'm going to do. I'm going to use, this hurts me to say, but I'm going to use like squares and circles as my stand-in sprites instead of spending a lot of time on drawing the characters itself, because I get too bogged down by it. And I don't mind doing that. It's just that since our goal, and I think this is the positive benefit of having a weekly goal, is that I get to prioritize things based on the goal. And right now my priority is finishing a prototype within a week. Possible or not is not the question. But what will make it possible is if I'm not obsessing over the sprites. So that's what I'm going to do. Also, I'm going to take it in order, meaning I actually will do system design as opposed to just jumping into it, which I usually do because I use my intuition to guide me in terms of how I do system design from my experience. But I'm going to actually like write things out and try to plan things out and see how much more locked in I feel. And I'm doing this because if it does work really well, I want to be able to tell you guys about it. Voice says, I'm going to start the challenge. I'm thinking of doing horror game. Ooh, lovely. I did hear that the horror game is way to go for your first release game. Humanizer says, so what is it that you're building here? I'm new. Oh, yeah, no worries. We're making basically a roguelike, kind of like the Slay the Spire style Baldur's Gate combat, but very, very simplified. Somebody just on the chat or Discord compared it to like the board game called One Card Dungeon or One Deck Dungeon, which is similar. Basically, it's like a combat after combat after combat. And then every now and then you get the shop or the story beats that allows you to get items and relics that allows you to, you know, have a build. And then right now, so far, the idea is on every combat, you gain maybe XP. And I have to level that probably well. And then I want it to be, instead of like building card deck, you're increasing your talent tree in an interesting way to come up with a build. Yeah. And so far, the mock-up image that I have for our little update is here. This is the mock-up right now. That's what it kind of looks like. And I'm thinking that it's going to be a stamina system where this is like kind of like similar to mana. And, you know, later maybe there will be a mana where you get to act based on stamina per turn. And then if you run out, you run out, but then you only recharge 2 stamina per turn or something. And then, you know, your build will allow you to increase the max and all that stuff. So we'll see. Another opportunity for Banhammer out here. Thank you, Void. But yeah, that's where we're at. I think we're all caught up here now. Okay, I'm going to spit out my gum so I'm not making noise into your ears. I'm sure you love that. And then I'm going to bring some water for myself. And then we're gonna keep working on our little talent tree and splitting it into an item. That's the goal today. I'll be back. I am back. Voice says, haven't used mod mode in a long time. Well, good thing you're getting practice out here. We got our mods here protecting the fold. Lovely, lovely. Wow. All right. Look at some of these things. I think you can kind of imagine what it might look like. I was thinking like, okay, over here, player choices that +2 stamina per turn, attack based on weapon. So the gameplay is you first go and choose a weapon. And what I wanted to do is I wanted there to be a skill tree for the weapon. So like the weapon expertise based skill tree, and then general passive skill tree. So you have the weapon specific, and then you have the general like mobility, you know, tankish or whatever. So it's part of that kind of alignment. I'm trying to see if I can make it so that like I could look at it, capture it immediately, and feel like, oh, this is what I want to do, even without the items. And once we start to add items, it's going to make it even more like exciting, I think. Humanizer says, sounds pretty interesting, and you're building it in Godot. Yes, we're Godot content here. Humanizer also says, circles and squares will look great. Thank you. I appreciate that. I do feel like it's a little bit delayed. Am I delayed on YouTube, guys? Let me know how delayed I am. I guess I could check it myself. What does that look like? Can't really see if the chat... Sorry, Humanizer, if I'm delayed to you. YouTube be like that sometimes. Okay. So you know what? This is a great probably place. How would I draw this? What's the best way to draw a graph and text at the same time? I guess Figma, but I've never used Figma. So I need something else. I mean, I could imagine just drawing it on a sketch pad like I normally do. Because I do still want to see it visually. Draw.io. That's good. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's not bad. And there's an export option. Yeah, you can save it. Okay, cool. So what we're looking at here, definitely want some skill trees. Can I zoom in? Yes, I can. I can put text, right? Okay, so let's say I actually thought there would be a 3 main one. I would say dagger, quintessential RPG weapon, right? We have weapons that are dagger. We'll have arrow, and then you know what? How about staff? Or yeah, staff. Not just any staff. Maybe magic staff. It doesn't mean that the staff allows you to do magic immediately, but I do want to show the whole like magical element as part of the option. It's like choosing the starting character in Slay the Spire. Bruno says, yeah, it's a little hard to see a live recently, but I like your lives. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Seems like YouTube is pretty delayed. Because some of you guys are answering things that I said like a while back. We'll see. It's okay. I mean, I know that YouTube Live you have like option to kind of wind back, not watch the most recent, so you could check on that when you get around to it. Thanks for the follow, Hole in the Derp. All right, so we have some basic stuff, but I want to make sure there's enough in the tree. Okay, let's choose this first. Prototype. I want prototype to at least have like, you know, like 10 combats before fighting the boss. I'm just gonna make the prototype to be all the way to the boss. Watermelon. Watermelon just redeemed 12 squats out here. You know what? That's fine. That is fine. Thanks for the follow, Miles. So the way we do it here with the berry folks, thanks for the sub, Arthur or Arter. We do squats when people redeem squats, but that doesn't mean I'm doing the squats. It means that everybody's doing the squats because us developers, we really need that blood flow, right? So do it with me here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'd say that was a pretty solid squat out here. We did it, guys. I actually had to nap today because I came from working out pretty early this morning, so still a little sore. Luckily, it wasn't a leg day; it was a full body, so it's not easier. But oh, okay, I'm out of breath still. Watermelon says, "Yo, Ezra, long time no see." Hey, long time no see. Thanks for being here. We be squatting. All right, Dagger. I think since we're talking about mechanics based on stamina, I do think that there's an access. I think the weapon-based abilities, or yeah, weapon-based talent tree should have an opportunity to unlock active abilities. So, for example, Dagger probably will have like backstab as part of the abilities, whatever that means, right? I guess we should probably do it separately. I wonder if I can make the canvas larger if I run out of space. Oh, I can. That's sick. All right, so I'm gonna try to come up with the active abilities for each of the weapon types that I'm planning on adding for this like first iteration. So we're gonna have some backstab, and then what does that do? Probably cause bleeding. I guess I should probably write what that means somewhere. Should I write it here? I guess I could. I almost feel like I should write it somewhere else, what that actually does. So let's organize some of our thoughts. Weapons. And then heading, dagger, bow, and magic staff will be its own sections. And then we can talk about unlockable active skills. Active ability. Hey, McQuarrie, welcome. 5-stream streak. Congrats on that. Popper says, write it on hover over. Can you do that? I've never used this tool before. Hover over. Popper Tim says, write it on hover over. Hover over? I don't know how to do that, y'all. Remember, I just got introduced to this thing today. Hey, thanks for the follow. Or James, thanks for sub. Hello there, Baka Design. Hey, we're working on our weekly challenge game instead of our puzzle platformer today, because I really wanted to get the talent tree down. Popper says, display on tooltip rather in the project. You're saying a lot of words. I wish I knew how to do it. I don't know how to do it. I feel like that is an option I should do, but I'll wait on Popper Tim to give me more. We got active abilities. Probably, I do think that the active abilities, I don't know if it should be tied to, like, if it's like should be set. Bruno says, can you make a roll dice system? Like you roll for attack 5 and the dex is 5. Attack maker. I do like that idea because I'm trying to get as close to the kind of TTRPG condensed feeling. I do have a theory though about like there is a. I argue it a lot. No, I don't argue a lot, but I have a lot of discussion on should you be able to miss your attack. And I think it really depends on the type of game and expectation. Sometimes missing after a planning feels really bad. Like you set up all these things and you did this thing and then you did your uber attack. You committed all your resources to it and then you missed. That feels awful. So we have to make sure we do this properly, I think. Like some sense of guaranteed hits. I mean, we'll see. We got backstab. I'm gonna say maybe there's a what else? Something. We can have a throw for the dagger, I suppose. This is kind of brainstorming. I'm gonna remove some of these things. I do like the kind of like El Marco says, oh no, the RNG hit miss damage rabbit hole. Yeah, no, I mean like hit miss is always little bit iffy. Like I like it just because I'm so used to playing D&D with my friends. And of course Baldur's Gate, right? But at the same time, we also know the fact that like what's the game? Darkest Dungeon really splits the audience because of the whole like randomness. But then the randomness is like, oh, if you can mitigate the randomness, then it feels good. But then how much can you mitigate? You know, if I'm gonna do randomness, I want if there are ability to mitigate the randomness, there has to be like an absolute mitigation, I feel. But we'll see. Okay, dagger. I think we should probably have like plus crit here. And then maybe there's some plus crit damage somewhere here. And then we're going to probably organize this in some ways. We got the throw, dagger throw, crit chance somewhere in here. What are some major? I'm actually taking this from a MMORPG game that is retiring soon called New World. I actually really enjoyed it. It was from Amazon Game Studio. Um, and I was actually really good at that game. I was one of the top rapier musket players, but alas, nobody cares about that game. So, oh, Bruno really. Hey, Bruno, why did you delete your message? I don't know what it was. Humanized Legend says Krita would have been better using the Krita tool instead of this. Maybe. I mean, I use my Clip Studio for normal drawing, but you know what? I'm gonna give it a try before I say this is not the style I want to do. Crit damage is interesting. Base damage, I don't know if the weapon itself should give base damage update. I do like the idea. Okay, here's something. I do like the idea of the skill tree of the weapon having some passive effect that can apply to other weapons and other moves as well. For example, if I say, hey, like this skill tree allows you to like what is it? Not quick dash. Should it be called expeditious retreat? Of course, I'm stealing this from D&D, and I'm thinking like, oh, expeditious retreat allows you to move for free after attacking. And if you get this upgrade, even if you're holding other weapon, that means you get this ability. Peptipois, if I'm saying that right, Petitpoi says, hi, what are you making? I'm making we're working on our skill tree for our roguelike D&D combat type of thing, like a Baldur's Gate inspired combat thing. This is part of our weekly challenge. Here's a mock-up of what that game might look like, not guaranteed. And it's going to be like really, really reduced position-based, turn-based combat, where every combat leads to this Slay the Spire like navigation that is procedurally generated, where you have some sort of like story building. Like some of these like locations, I want to make sure it's locked in, right? It's like I know if I go there, there are like chances of meeting a certain person that allows me to gain a skill or ability or items. Like I want there to be a locked in items that you can get for sure at a certain location, which allows people to like navigate through that. But like the challenges in between needs to be random, is how I feel. Popper says likely not in that specific tool. I was just saying for in the game. Oh yeah, for sure. You know, the idea behind these like red, you see these like red texts or different color text. I'm hoping that those would be like pop-up tooltips when you hover over, and maybe even get rid of this whole thing part. I just did it because I just wanted to see what it looks like. It looks clean to me, but you know, obviously we have opportunity to change. Just to quickly insert, if you come to our Discord right now, this is part of our weekly update challenge where we are trying to finish our games as indie game devs this year, 2026. So we are doing these like weekly updates. We're reporting what we're doing this week, and then we're reporting what we're planning to do next week, and then give little updates. And I will share it with the world for you as well to gather some excitement with the people. Bruno says, I make for me pastime. Haha. Oh, I see. Oh, wait. Bruno says, in car game, I make for a boring job I have. It's this example. Paladin, roll for attack damage, roll 2 heal, roll same number taunt and counter attack, roll same dex crit, more or less like this. Yeah, I think that's really exciting. I mean, I kind of like that kind of approach of what that looks like. And so I really want to get to that part. But before we get to that part, I want people to see the skill tree and some of the available moves, and immediately Grok being like, oh, I have a build idea. And I think that's what we want to get at here. We have throw. I guess the third backstab will be certain type. Throw will be certain type. I guess the dagger, I think. How about double stab? That could be something, right? Quick. The idea is we have quick, nimble, sneaky. And then the expeditious, I suppose, could be part of this right here. I'm going to start drawing some lines here. And then the crit damage probably is down on the back step. Crit chance could be over here. I'm going through it. I'm not even thinking about balance right now because I'm just thinking about, okay, if I see this tree, if I'm making a plan, if I start seeing this ability, what would make it exciting for me? So that's what I'm focusing on right now. El Marco says, "Cool, thank you." Petty also says, "Sounds really cool. Thank you, appreciate that." We're trying it. We're trying it out here. I mean, I'm excited for it. And then we definitely need something that is like ability specific upgrades. So for example, the passive might have something, the throw might have some other line that's something like a throw distance upgrade, right? Plus throw distance. Or like and then we can have another one that's like bleeding throw, or we could have poisoned throw or something like that. I mean, obviously we'll name this something differently. And then I do think that there could be an exciting upgrades for each of these to be like, oh, it has its own like path of like, okay, if we're going for the poison throw, we can have we call, you know, throw, apply, I don't know, exhaust. It's something like that, right? So it goes where, how do you draw the lines? Can I just draw lines here like this? Do I just, oh, I have to, is that the, not ideal. Oh, okay. It does now. Nice. Baka says, Slay the Spire style game. Yeah, Slay the style. I almost said Slay the style. Slay. That's a different type of game, isn't it? That could be fun. Slay the style, and then it's like roguelike fashion adventure somehow. Yeah, so I have this part which kind of looks like Slay the Spire. So it's a little bit like that. It's roguelike. Slay the Spire is pretty big on that. I am taking a lot of success stories from it to bring it here, but make it more RPG. Make it more RPG. So we can have a throw, right? That goes like that. Maybe I move this over here. Discool says, hello, hi Discool, welcome. Bruno also says, for monk class, have punch and kick, but if you roll a specific number, punch, pull, kick, and another roll for kick, pull, punch, and have percent to make combo. Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I still haven't decided what the positional aspect would or should be, because right now you can only have people in sections, right? You might have 3 people in the melee range, 2 people in one range. And I'm just thinking, like, do you do targeting? How does the, you know, blocking a path impact the combat? I think those things are all something that I need to definitely think about. Lots of thoughts to be had here, for sure. Okay, so we have the throw, where the throw distance can be increased here, and I do want to have one that's like maybe something like daring thrower, or could be like daredevil, which would be like if you throw closer range, you do more damage, like, which is counterintuitive. You're making your throw as like a long range weapon, but then this allows you to do more damage closer you are. I guess that doesn't make sense. I guess say aerodynamic or something like that, where further the dagger travels, more damage it does. And then we can have something like that. So this is a tree for the skill itself for the throw. That's related to the throw distance. Torby says, hello, I am Discool Twitch account. Oh, I see. Torby is Discool. I'm going to have to remember that somehow. Torby says, also, I don't know what I did, but I fixed my animation Unity problem. Oh, that's good. But you don't know what you did? It just works now? Maybe you just need to restart your computer 5 times and turn around and say Bloody Mary 10 times or something like that. Toro Loco says, a positional like Shogun Showdown, maybe. That is a very good game. Yeah, I do remember Shogun Showdown. I really enjoyed it. But the Shogun Showdown has like pretty long distance for position, and I'm not sure if that's something I want to do or not yet. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yes, I am certainly taking that inspiration in my head for sure. This is starting to look like it's making some sense now, the connections, I think. I guess maybe, I don't know. Ooh, that's kind of ugly. Maybe I should just line this up. I should probably line this up like that. Move everything over like that. Okay. Crit chance. Right? No. Petty says, does your Discord channel only apply to Godot development? No. I mean, my channel is Godot just because I do Godot, but it's for any game developers, right? Matter of fact, one of the very first members that joined Discord, Zuzu, is a Unity developer. So it's just whatever. I mean, it's just that, a lot of times when I talk about like my coding tutorials, it's not as useful, but like a lot of us don't need tutorials. It's all about just like text and the algorithm and just usual motivation and whatnot. So yeah, it shouldn't impact that at all. Torby says, are you using Godot this stream? I am always using Godot, is how I see it. Baka says, could call it impactful. Impactful, like you mean this part? Is that what you're saying? Impactful? Crit chance. I'm gonna apply, maybe tie another crit chance down in the further down the line here. Expeditious retreat, I'm gonna put it down here. Maybe crit damage and crit chance can be part of this chain here. I'll put expeditious retreat on the left side here. Baka says yes. Okay, fine. I'll do it. Impactful. Nothing is locked here, by the way, so don't be disappointed if I decide that I'm going to change some of these names. Bruno says, use Obsidian to do this skill tree. You know Obsidian program? I've never actually seen it. What is Obsidian? Oh, like this? I guess. It's like a AI tool or something, right? Bruno, you keep taking back your messages. I can't read them. Did I already read them? Jeez. Torby says, what do you think is an easier language to learn? C# or Godot language? I mean, in terms of basic programming, they're basically the same, right? I guess in terms of like any kind of C-based language, the problem with C-based language is that it allows you to do things that you shouldn't do. Like it's giving you the tools. They trust you. Like, oh, you sure you want to do that? Fine. You have the ability to do it. As opposed to like scripted languages or like higher level languages like GDScript kind of prevents you from making some fatal mistakes. So in that sense, C# is harder. But in terms of like, as long as you're staying in the scope of just application level, then I don't know if one is harder than the other. Every concept is learnable. Um, but I guess some people might be struggling a lot more with the what do you call the memory management via pointer and such. Okay, so expeditious retreat, I think, could be part of the backstep tree. I can lock it behind backstep tree. I said this means this allows me, it gives me a free move, non-stamina move after attacking. I'm not sure if it should be only locked into the backstab. Like it's like a ability that is specifically for, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to have this. Expeditious retreat is actually only for backstab, but there's going to be an upgrade that is basically quick feet, which allows me to do expeditious retreat for every melee attack, which allows for a lot of various build. That does seem like it's pretty OP, it seems to me, but we'll see. Double stab, we have backstab here, which auto crits. I'm gonna say backstab makes it so that it crits automatically. That means we're gonna tie a probably another crit damage over here, because that means it gives me additional damage. Eden says, hi Eden, welcome. Bruno says, my cell are trolling me, haha, sorry, but Obsidian No is it's a full program to make planning to make games and jobs, etc. Yeah, I think I've seen people use it. I wouldn't mind using it. I just have no capacity to learn or download or buy new tools right now, but I would be interested in looking at it. I just don't want to do it on stream. But I'll take a look. Thanks for sharing. I actually am thankful. Void says, yeah, Obsidian is really good. Yeah, I'll try it out. Voice says, I'm thinking 2.5D or 3D. That could be fun. I mean, I've never done 2.5D. It could be a good exercise. That could be pretty sick. Maybe modernize my drawing a little bit. Okay, double step. What kind of interesting ability could be in double step? What, like the type of thing that will make double step better? I mean, it's already double damage. It's double instance of damage, which is different from auto critting. This is critting. This is like base damage. And then the crit chance coming here is pretty cool. I guess we can make it so that it costs one less stamina. I think that could be very, very standard. -1 stamina. And then, because, you know, that's a big part of it. Being able to do this more often is really good. Maybe the double step cooldown can also go down. We could say, oh, you know what? I have a great idea. I could be like, hey, killing blow, which is reduce cooldown by 1 or something like that if the dagger ability kills a person. I think that makes sense to me. Like that. Potentially there could be a really broken build with the jeez. Oh my goodness. There could be a really broken build with like going killing blow immediately and then picking up throw. Now the throw reduces cooldown potentially. And then I think that also, oh, by the way, sorry, shoot. Thanks for the sub, Calzino. Thanks for the sub, Andre Shark. The only thing is that the YouTube subscription notification happens sometimes even outside of the stream. Like it notifies me for everybody, you know? so sometimes I'm like, I guess I shouldn't really have to like recognize those people, but you know. All right, let's do it this way. I'm spending too much time on trying to make these lines pretty when I don't have to. I feel a little bit silly trying to make this line work. It's the most necessary part of this, apparently. Wait, that doesn't look right. You know what? I'm gonna try this again. Let's. I'm gonna move this. That. Oops. Like so. Hey, why is it not attached? There you go. There you go. Okay. And then we're gonna do killing blow here. Then we're gonna attach this one. I guess this can't get attached. Huh. I guess I just have to do it like this. Torby says bye. Oh, okay. Bye, Torby. Thanks for being here. Jacob says sup. Hey, Jacob. Welcome. Bruno says you can make in this final tree of double strike. In the final tree, do a double strike, a chain attack. For example, if crit, attack again and again, but if more like 3 times reduced damage. Ooh, I love that, actually. That could be fun. Also, that could be an item. You know? I could see a relic that says, if you crit, you have a chance to attack again. Which is, I mean, there's different way to express that. One way to express that is by saying, oh, if you crit, you gain stamina. You know what? That's different than double attacking, I guess. But yeah, I could see. Jacob says, is this for time travel game? No. This is for the this game that I shared on our weekly updates. So today we're working on our weekly update game because I wanted to get this like upgrade thing figured out a little bit. So the game idea so far for this one, which is roguelike RPG combat, basically, I did a little mock-up combat in my head of what the first few fights look like, as we're deciding on the reward that comes with first two, or reward that comes every time you win a combat. I was trying to come up with some of the ideas of like what that could be. And I thought it would be cool to express it as a skill tree. So then like, you know, these are like a 1 skill tree, 2 skill tree or whatever. Jacob says, whoa, the style is cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not sure how realistic that art style is for the actual gameplay, but I like the idea of it being like these, like, look at this one. I did a lot of anti-aliasing. I kind of like that. Little miniature figures out here. Let's see. Torby says, well, I'm going to go back to watching Jimmy Vegas and learning Unity. Okay, have fun. I'll see you around. Thanks for being here. Baka says, so for example, double step could have a power-up that makes the second step always crit. Ooh, yeah. Okay. Is double stab... Okay, yeah, you know what? I gotta be careful here. Backstab is auto crit. That's its benefit. If the double step is regular attack and a guaranteed crit, you know, how does that feel? Well, we'll have to think about this. Eden says, I don't know if it fit in the skill tree, but maybe you could do something with the charged strike, like rushing up to someone. Ooh. Okay. I will put that. I feel like that's like. Okay. I like it. I like it. I also like that as a potential item. So, like, the amount of. If you move. If you move forward, your next melee attack gains damage that is in relation to how much you moved. And that's the boots or something like that. That's the item that you can pick up and equip. Also, I was thinking like instead of just having relics like this, it would be cool if it's like equipment thing. So like you have a bunch of these things that you can combo. So you're not like infinite comboing things like Slay the Spire, but that could be a little bit too much work, but we'll see. So idea is I'm going to do the skill tree. I'm going to define what items are there in the game. And then I'm going to come up with system design to implement it and then come up with a prototype. That's the order I'm going to take this in. I have a feeling that I might not finish it. I might not finish it in a week, potentially. Bruno says, yeah, Relic is good. I like the Relic idea, yeah. Credence says, have you done a behavior tree before? I have done behavior tree before. Matter of fact, there's a video... There's a video that I made a while back that I haven't released that's coming up on Monday that shows off basically my behavior tree. But I can show it since you mentioned it. You know, that's what the stream is all about. We're not going to stay focused. We're going to share whatever we need to. So I was trying to make with Godot a kind of like the AI plugin. AI plugin as in like every tool, algorithm that is known for controlling the computer AI, not to be confused with the generative AI. I wanted to put it into a single package. And what I ended up making was I made it a finite state machine tool, I made a behavior tree tool, and then I made something called a goal-oriented action planning tool, which is basically choosing behavior based on the state transition. So I do have a behavior tree here. And the way our behavior tree works, which I think like this right here, I have go and drop behavior. You can see you can name your behavior. You can select if it is a selector node or sequence node, and then it'll do something based on that. And each child is behavior node in itself. And then on its implementation, you can implement what the execution look like and what defines success and failure of that behavior. And then all these things. And so that along with the goal-oriented action planning, which is a breadth first search for deciding what the unit should do, these strawberries, basically I made it so that like, hey, you have all these things you could do, and these are the state changes that these things will cause. Give me an extra flower given the world state. So it's like, oh, I'm going to till the ground. I'm going to now bury the plant. I'm going to water it now because it's about to go out of water. So that is something that we've done here. I actually made this I worked on that a little bit on live, but I do plan on releasing that video. And if people are interested enough, maybe I'll do a Godot tutorial as well, or code along, so to speak. Voice says, or Blood Mage / Voice says, gotta go as battery low. Okay, bye. Thanks for being here. Thanks for modding. I like the charge strike. I need to somehow remember that. I'm gonna write this here. Charged strike, movement equals, or movement correlates to damage boost. Maybe boots. I'm going to have to remember this. I need some sort of like organizational method where it allows me to like move boxes around, but I'll probably do that later. Let's see. Epic Studio official says current state of GTA 6. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Current state of GTA 6. Okay. Don't burn me at a stake for this. I never got into GTA. Is that crazy or what? Am I speaking nonsense? I never understood the the attraction towards GTA. I just never could get into it. It's just not something that I like. Bruno says, as thanks, man. Bye. I want to see results of this. Good night. All right. Good night, Bruno. Thanks for watching. Um, Credence also says the thing I keep getting stuck on understanding is how to do the blackboard. It really depends. I mean, I feel like you shouldn't really lock into. So, okay, Blackboard, for those of you who's not familiar, Blackboard is kind of concept of essentially a global state. It's like a it's like a place where you can keep track of states for behavior tree or anything to share. And in Godot specifically, um, so I did it so that you pass the Blackboard in to the tree instead of there being a global state. So it's a variant, meaning user or the programmer can choose what type of object, what class is the Blackboard. And then that way, during the execution logic, Blackboard is available across all behavior node implementation by making it a static class or a static variable. Credence says, so you could set up a blackboards per room if I have multiple rooms. I mean, you could if that's like, I mean, nothing's preventing you from doing that. Honestly, my approach would be, especially if you're now that you're thinking about like there's different categorization of information. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. I mean, the most fundamental way to implement Blackboard would be having a single object that gets shared across all behavior trees and all behavior nodes. Fine, that works. But it gets bloated very quickly. So now you're doing, instead of just doing single Blackboard, a Blackboard can be an object where you can define a scope. You can say, Blackboard, give me scope, blah, 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 give me variable, blah, 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 right? So you can have these like nested Blackboard information. And I feel like that's probably a way to do it. Instead of splitting multiple instances of Blackboards, you can have Blackboards that is a single static Blackboard, kind of like the singleton, for behavior tree alone, and then have it manage how to access different scope of variables. So you're never directly accessing the Blackboard's property, being like blackboard.data, blah, blah, blah. You're saying, Blackboard, give me scope, blah, and then do something in it. That I feel like that's probably the cleanest way to do it in terms of like long-term planning. But what do I know? take my word with grain of salt, I say. Okay, so I think there definitely should be some ability damage upgrade that's kind of flat. So I would say this one, we got the quick feet here, which allows you to apply the movement after melee attack on everything. And then we're going to say this could be interesting. We can have bleed. Basically, it makes it so that the target that gets backstabbed automatically bleeds. And then we got to do some movement here. Oh, it's not very clean, but it's okay. We'll live. Oh, by the way, no means credence. That doesn't mean like what I'm saying is the truth in life, you know. Obviously, take everything I say with healthy amount of grain of salt, as they say, right? Okay, I can't make this look any prettier, it seems. Just do that. And then bleeding. I do feel, I don't know if the position of this should be like backstep bleed. Should that be the next thing that can be in the tree? I guess. Like so. Could be interesting. We can have an unconnected, like just regular passive. That's more like over here, maybe. Oh, it's getting a little crowded here. I'll do the organization later. Basically, it's like salt on wound, which is increased crit damage on bleeding target. Increased crit damage on bleeding target. Eden says that's fair. What's fair? Sorry, I'm losing context here. Credence says, so you could set up blackboards per room or blah, blah, blah. I already answered that. Credence says, haha, all good. I've only been doing the coding stuff for 18-ish month. Oh, wow. You're already thinking about behavior tree. You're pretty advanced for it. But yeah, no problem. I mean, there's a lot of approaches. I think for me, the thing that comes to me as with my experience in software engineering is that kind of like intuition on system design and longevity of programming. But I wouldn't say I'm necessarily better at quote unquote coding. Coding is easy. It's the whole like designing for purpose that's the hard part that comes with experience, I think. Okay, so we have bleed, we have killing blow, which it reduces cooldown. I think that's pretty cool. I like the idea of salt on wound. That's like increased crit damage on bleeding target. But this is like your dagger does increase crit damage on bleeding target, I think. I don't know if I should. I mean, it does seem like it's like a general upgrade. And it doesn't have to be tied to the abilities, but I guess it could. I mean, it seems like it's pretty obvious connection to a bleed. And since this is on auto crit, this is like the one hit wonder build right here. Eden says, context to saying that's fair was when you mentioned my idea could work as an item, but it was a little while ago. Yeah, I see. Yeah. I do like it as an item. And, you know, because I add something as an item doesn't mean it can't be added as part of the skill tree either. Okay, when you look at this, can you already think about, like, does it already inspire to be like, oh, that's the build I want to do? Is there any like combination from the tree where you go, this from here, this from there, I'm going to do this build order? Like, does anything, I feel like something's showing up here, right? Like, I feel like it's not just like random. It seems like there is some sort of like idea for build starting to form, which is a good thing, by the way. Okay. So we have that. Crit damage, crit chance, and we're increasing crit chance again. And I think we said Salt on Wound is crit damage increased on bleeding target. So I might actually go for this, and this, and this. That's like a huge build right there. Crit stacking is my build. So far, there's no throw build. There's poison throw, apply exhaust. Impactful is longer. We need something to do this better, I guess. Hey, thanks for the follow, CompileGate. Crit stacking seems like a pretty powerful build here. I do want to do. I feel like I really overloaded on the left side here. I definitely want to come to the right side here and give some love here too. I mean, this still gets applied with the crit here. That's okay. I guess since this is like a distance build, right? You're like, this is like go in and like pummel, and there's like a little addition of melee retreat here. The throw with the impactful, I think this could feel more like utility. I think I'm going to make the throw build be a more utility build. So you have poison throw here. We have the damage based on distance. And I think we can have another upgrade here that's like exploding throw. You know, obviously AoE, multiple tile impact. And then throw apply exhaust is like any damage that gets applied by throw applies exhaust, which can be the explosion as well. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll think about this. And then we could have obviously, I don't know if the stamina should be 2 costs and then make a stamina reduction here. I think it's a stamina reduction on double stab. Is that too strong? I mean, it might be okay. Double stab is kind of boring here. Killing blow reduces. We said something along the lines of like second stab doing something else. Ooh, you know what would be interesting? Do half damage. So we're changing it so that the stabs are more like hitting a lot. You're do 1 1 1 1 1 as opposed to 2 2. So we could say half the damage, double the stab amount. That's like a really unique potential build that can come from this. Killing blow. We were saying this is reduce cooldown on kill. I think that's like a double step exclusive actually. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to switch this and put that down here. And then say it's like we need one more double stab. On kill cooldowns reduces. And then Baka says blinding throw. I do like that. I think the blinding throw would be part of explosion. Blinding. Upgrade. This is the game. Coming out with skill tree is the game. I do think that there should be... hold on. Popper says Rain of Daggers hits multiple range targets. I like it. I gotta be careful here. I'm trying not to overload the throw as a ranged damage. I'm trying to focus on it being range utility so that arrow can really shine on the range damage. Bow and arrow, I guess. It's more like bow. Range damage. And the bow will be like the tool for range damage and utility. It's like a thing. And then the magic staff is focus on range damage and AoE, right? So it's like we gotta have this like variety of selection of like, oh my gosh, this is like what I'm gonna do. This is what I want to do and stuff like that. So, ooh, hold on. Blind, poison, bleed. This one, look at this one. It's gonna be like already dead, or like a Wymo type of thing. Essentially the idea is I think this requires both lines. Do additional damage. Do additional damage based on status effect of the target. The amount of negative status effect a target has gives damage boost to the throw. That seems interesting, though. I think that's pretty cool, in my opinion. Because now then you're like, oh, we have the status effect build. That could be pretty sick. Baka says, take cover equals shoot and retreat with defense bonus. Yeah, I think that's definitely a bow and arrow thing. Well, maybe the dagger as well. Maybe that can come as ability. Or we'll have to think about that one. I think I have something like that over here. So we'll think about that. Creighton says, a boomerang style throw where you can hit them twice. Are these automatically piercing through multiple enemies? Maybe a piercing? Yeah, they're not right now. I want to reserve piercing for an item effect. So like a special throw dagger, for example, if there is such thing as throw dagger that you can collect as part of the quote unquote relic. If you equip that, then your throw abilities penetrate enemies. That could be fun. You don't think so? Apoc says, what are you making here? We're making skill tree for our little dagger weapon. We're working on this roguelike D&D roguelike RPG combat thing. Slay the Spire inspired, but then it's like combat wise is positional and strategic. And the idea right now is that in the very beginning you choose your weapon. So we came up with these 3 types of weapon. We got the bow, we got the magic staff, and we have the dagger. And I want the incremental bonus. Like every combat gives you experience or level or whatever, and that can be used to upgrade your tree, so that there's this like feeling of like every combat I am working towards a build, which could be fun. So I'm working on the talent tree right now. Okay, so we have the stamina. Killing blow means if we kill, cooldown gets reduced. I'm gonna say if you kill, dagger ability cooldown reduces. Pretty sick. I feel like there needs to be one here. I did say there should be a trade-off, but that I almost feel like half double step damage for doubled step count. What if there's also an item that allows you to double your attack amount, melee attack amount? I mean, that will make it insane build. I love that. So I think we could say multi-stab, which is going to be basically an upgrade to allow you to go from... We're going to make it so that you can do reduced damage but increased number. Which is okay, because if you increase your crit chance, that means each attack has a chance of critting. You're increasing the crit chance if you have any build that's tied to critical hitting. Apoc says, nice, I'm kind of doing similar work at the moment. I love the diagram app. I've been using Obsidian to stay over. It seems like a lot of people are using Obsidian. It sounds like it's something that I need to jump onto. Thanks for the follow or sub, Tyler, on YouTube. Welcome. All right, we're working on this. We're getting it, everyone. Now, only downside is now we have to do this for every one of them. And then, but I like it. I like it. And then we can decide what numbers they take. And then, this is an important part. I wish I could just go and like my tendency is, because I'm a developer first, typically I jump immediately into implementing. So normally I'm used to like at this point already implementing the mechanics and all the other stuff that are already there. But I got to make sure. I got to remind myself I'm going to do this right. I'm trying to plan to finish. And part of that planning to finish is really approaching it with like normal project management style. So We'll find out. All right, one more right here. Before going into multi-stab, I feel like there needs to be one more thing. Othersec says the downside with Obsidian is that writing your own extension for it is just easy enough that it turns into its own source of procrastination. It's like Vim. It's a hobby unto itself. I bet. I can tell. And then guess what happens? Once I hop on Obsidian, I'm like making my tools and I'm like, you know what? This is an Obsidian plugin I created for game devs. Now all of a sudden my channel is Obsidian channel. Which is not bad, I guess. Credence says having a Kanban on Airtable is definitely what's getting me to stay on same project week over week. Yeah, it definitely helps. You know, we can. Well, I'm gonna watch my language. We can poop on project management and overhead all we want, but there is a benefit. Now, I do think there is the whole like mistake of taking it too far, of like, you know, doing it like religion. Like thinking that it's going to solve all your problem. Like you have to be flexible, obviously, but there's a kind of amount of usage where it can be really beneficial. Okay, this is not snapping nicely. Whatever, dude. We definitely need something here, though. I feel like there needs to be one thing. I almost feel like the killing blow should be part of minus stamina here. So I'm going to do killing blow here. And then multi-stab is this. So we're prepping for multiple stab and reduced damage. I almost feel like having this early is not a bad idea because people will be like, why would I take that? Like it's, if they're not aware of the build, they're not going to go for it. Like going for it early seems silly to most people. So I think we can have a multi-stab upgrade here where basically brutal strike, which will be when attacking multiple times, or I could say each subsequent stab gets increased crit chance. It's different from guaranteed crit of the backstab, because this one is like single crit damage, but multi-stab is like, okay, well, you might have really low crit chance, but following attacks have higher and higher chance of critting. And that's okay because I could control it by basically doing like stuff like, okay, this is like each attack does half of base damage. So critting doesn't feel that bad. This one is like you do whole base damage. So then the critting feels more impactful, I think. I think we have it. I think this feels pretty daggery. Pre-daggery. Yeah, we go. We got the dagger move here. All right. Hopefully, I should probably save this at some point. I'll do it on my Google Drive here. Hold on. Let me do it off screen just in case there's some sensitive data. Save as. We're gonna save this as skill tree v1. Authorize. Sorry, I'm doing this off screen. You guys have no idea what I'm doing here. Connect to self to drive. See edit. Yep, that's okay. I did it. I did it. There you go. Okay. The other Zek says the optimal amount of project management is either 20% more or 50% less than what my boss is doing at any particular time. As long as it's somebody else that's doing the management for me, it's not good. is the attitude, right? Isn't it? That's the truth. Don't tell me otherwise. That is the truth. Okay, we're gonna do bow here. And then I think magic stuff actually we want to focus on abilities like fire, earth, wind, whatever. You know? It's like more like druidic approach here. Oh, we got to do all this again. Okay. I had so much fun making this that I'm like, I'm exhausted now. Okay, hold on. I do feel like there needs to be at least two choices in the beginning. I was about to be like, okay, hold on. In order to find the fun of the game, if I'm thinking about prototyping the game, is there already enough choice in Dagger itself that I don't have to worry about bow just yet? Like, I can prototype with just this and see how people navigate this. Or should I at least have a second one? And if it's a second one, is it better to just do magic stuff instead of the bow? Hmm. I think so. You know what? I think I'm going to do magic stuff. So right now, the dagger uses stamina as resource. I think magic stuff, just like how Slay the Spire has different like resource management for different class. Maybe this could operate off of mana instead, right? Mana plus stamina, maybe? I don't know. Noodle says, hello. Hi, Noodle. You know what? I'm going to do magic stuff here. Let's do a magic stuff build, and then we'll call it. We'll go to the coming up with relics and events. Because bow, I feel like, is martial, so it feels a little bit similar. If I were to be like, oh, I'm just going to have two options to begin with, it's not going to be very unique or feel different. So we can have a just fundamentally different thing. I don't want it to be just like, ooh, it's just different elemental damage. I want it to have like a flavor of what the elemental damage is associated to. Each element is associated to a certain thing, right? So like wind would be like pushing wind, right? Which is a displacement. And then we can have shocking grasp, which of course I just stole it from D&D again, but I love the sound of it. So we can change this, by the way. I don't think they own the ability name, right? They don't own the ability name if we come up with some of these names. You know, it's okay, I'm sure. And then we can say ranged attack could be ooh. Ooh, how about healing water? Ooh, healing. Oh, now we got all of a sudden cleric ability here. El Marco says Wizard of Legend did it in a good way. Oh, I love Wizard of Legend. That was fun. Damage is mostly the same, but the after or debuff effect changes per lament. No idea what that is. Baka says wind, evade, speed, fire, damage, AoE, water, healing. I do like that. Okay. Status effect for the shocking. We'll do wind for evade and speed. Yes, I agree. So instead of displacing, how about it's kind of like expeditious retreat. We have a draft. I think this will allow me to fly. So I am trying to utilize this upper space right here. I don't know what that means exactly in terms of combat. Like if you're in the air, what kind of abilities or benefits you get. Maybe it's like one way to dodge. Like the melees can't hurt you ever. They just have to skip their turn all the time. Megavolt says, I know it's not really a wizard thing, but I would find it very humorous for the staff to cast vicious mockery. Yeah, that would be fun. But here's the thing. If I go for a draft, for example, if I'm like floating in the air, what am I attacking with? You do have to come down and hit. So this being on as the first part of the skill tree feels a little weird, maybe. Updraft, maybe. Ooh, well, we'll see. Megavolt says, I know it's not really. Oh, no, I already read that. El Marco says, a living staff like Lillicor on Baldur's Gate that casts Vicious Mockery. Yeah, that could be fun. The staff itself is insulting people. Baka says, Earth is definitely protection. Yeah. The sturdiness. I do feel like I need to think about the whole like party aspect of the dungeon. Earth and armor. I do feel like isn't Earth? You think Earth is protection? You know what? Fine. Hold on. Brain blast. Brain blast. Okay. Invoker style. We're gonna do invoker style thing, which is gonna be unique. Very, very challenging. It's like high level play. You know what I'm saying when I say invoker style? Like in Dota. I mean, I haven't played Dota in a while. I mean, back in the day, Invoker was like that, where basically you unlock different elements. You unlock different elements in order to do element combination for different abilities. And you have access to a base spell book, right? And then the whole idea, the uniqueness of the magical traveling, magical building is this whole idea of unlocking. So the skill tree will unlock maybe some abilities and some some abilities and some like passive ability of like, if you have this element on queue, then you get certain effect, right? Like you have these like passive or active bonuses based on what elements you have, and then spells that you can cast is limited to your spell knowledge and what elements are active. That could be really fun. I mean, that feels magic to me. So you would like fundamentally, so I guess I have to be like, should unlocking the element always comes with base spell? Or should each element, you know what? Each element should have some sort of damaging effect, I think. Low damage. So like, so we got the pushing wind, which basically has a chance of knocking opponent prone, but it does like 1 damage, for example, AoE around me. Earth can be, yeah. We'll have something here. Earth, fire here. We're gonna do water. Healing water. It's just that if I pick up healing water first, there's this whole like aspect of, this is what I'm going to say. All basic ability, the elemental ability, does a damage and the additional effect. In order for players to have this like, but then there's not much of a choice, right? Is there a lot of choice? There isn't. I can either do attack or move, but that's okay in the first build. AoE. Fire is long distance. Firebolt, right? Pretty simple. Long distance single target. Healing water or healing pulse. We could say healing pulse. Damages the enemy, heals the caster. Very minimal. It's like it scales up. And earth could be. Oh, this could be interesting. We could say earthen wall. And basically, it's like you can cast it on top of the enemy to hurt the enemy. But if there's nobody, then it creates a wall of protection. Something like that, maybe? Or stone wall, right? Stone wall. And then it gives the earth element. What are we missing here? Electricity? Baka says fire plus fire equals big damage fire. Fire plus water equals small damage blind vapor. Yeah. That kind of stuff. Now that's going to be a huge headache, but we'll come around to it. It does seem like it's going to be a huge headache to come up with the idea. But I also want it to feel like pretty strong and pretty strategic from the beginning. I don't want it to be like, oh man, I have absolutely nothing else I can do. Like by default, you get 1 ability point or maybe 3 ability point to start with. Maybe. Is 3 too much? And then so you can have stuff on the first round. Hey, thanks for the sub, JJ. Megavolt says downdraft equals pushes enemy away. Okay, let's do that. Downdraft. So we don't have to do whole thing. Firebolt is damage. Stonewall is protection. And displacement. Minor damage. Damage only. And then this is the range damage, I think. And then I'm going to do a melee damage, which is Shocking Whip. Instead of Shocking Grasp. Is meant to be a melee status effect damage. Small chance of shocking. Small chance of burning. Small chance of knocking people down, and small chance of, well, actually this one is just straight up. Baka says, well, lightning, fire, wind is a bit redundant. Often either wind of a lightning is implemented. Okay. I mean, we can do that. And then have this be part of this. We can learn Shocking Grasp as part of the ability core. El Marcos says, like, you cannot cast, for example, a fire spell after a water one, but if you cast fire after earth, it triggers like a meteor. I was really thinking about at base, these are free casts. Like the basic. I got to be careful here. I know the gameplay. So if you remember playing Expedition 33, if anybody here played Expedition 33, there is a character called Luna, or Lune, or Loon, whatever her name is. And she's basically a elemental person. And the way they work, they cast a basically elemental spell. But then as part of the casting, an element shows up into their little queue or charge. And based on the charge, each ability has additional effect. So the combo is trying to juggle those things. Right now, what I was imagining was more so spells being limited to what is queued up. You know what? I think I like that still. So what I'm going to do is there's a simple spell which can be casted for free without consuming an effect, consuming an ability. And then they put on a elemental charge. And depending on the elemental charge, and it's not order sensitive, because if it's order sensitive, it'll be a nightmare. New spells become available. Out of all the spells you know, the spells become available for casting by consuming the elements. And then that spell itself, after consuming and casting, will put on a charge of elements again. So it's like a little cycle of like combo here and there, I think. So for your example, Marco, it's more like you do a spell, you do a fire spell, you get a fire element, you do a water spell, you get a water element. Now you have fire and water. Let's say you have now unlocked, you knew 2 different spell called, I don't know, like the vapor and fog. Let's say they are 2 different abilities, and that can only be casted with these 2 combination element available. And then they, as a result, now they become active. You can cast them, but also doing so will charge up the element. There's 2 aspects. I don't know if I should get rid of the stamina completely for spell invokers. That's a question here, because I'm imagining right now, if there is a free cast, what is limiting that? Nothing. Oh, you know what? Based on the environment of the combat. So in the beginning of combat, player starts with full charge of elements, just like stamina. And on every turn, a element gets charged up. And that's how you can choose to cast any of these. And I think what I'm going to do is there's a wind element, fire element, water element, and earth element. And then there's a 5th one, which is, flexible element, which whatever, I don't know. It's just basically can be used for anything. And I guess the stage 1, like the first level, basically on every turn you get at least like 1 or 2 free flexible element, I think. Baka says, if the order isn't relevant, you could go up to 3 combination. That would be 4. 24 spell total. Yeah, that's a lot. Still. But as soon as you start, and you could have some interesting idea with items being like, oh, if you have very specific order of elements, it does even more. Right? Like that's like an item build combo thing that starts to happen where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to try that. I want to do this build. Yeah. I think that's everything. All right. So what I want to do here is definitely I need something that's like elemental favor, which basically says you get +1 flex every turn. I'm doing this right now just as a reminder. It's kind of ugly, but whatever. There you go. So like we get flex elements every turn. And that could be that. I don't know how I'm going to get. So far we set right here. Plus crit chance is unlocked either through throw or double step, or are we saying in order to have the plus crit chance, you need to unlock both the double step and throw? Are we saying we need both in order to unlock this, or you just need one or the other? I mean, that's right. I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna say this is unlockable by either or. We don't need the path for this. So I'm gonna say in order to unlock this, that's simple one. That's very simple. It's gonna get a little messy here, but basically, you would think that you have unlocked every single one of them. But that's a lot. I mean, that's That's a lot to ask for, isn't it? We'll see. We'll see if that feels crazy. I'm just making sure everything else feels right based on that. So elemental favor will give you +1 flex element every turn. This is about to get messy. How do I do this? You know what? I'm going to I'll just have this as a separate thing. This is like 3 skill points to unlock. And then we can have a shocking whip. That's an ability that you can learn. Stonewall is protection. And then we'll say stuff like burn, which is part of this. Very simple. Not going to explain too much about it. But my idea here is that instead of saying, hey, firebolt applies burn, it's more like whenever you consume a fire element. Oh, why is it directed? What's going on here? Oh, you can just do this. Interesting. I can do an arrow by just dragging it. Whenever you consume fire element, that ability applies burn. Is that too much? Is that too flexible? Potentially. I have to think about this. Or does fire damage type has chance of applying burn? You know what? I'm going to say fire damage type. When applying fire damage type, also apply burn. Baka says, can you explain again how spell systems work? Okay. Just like stamina, every turn you get a certain amount of element recharged. 1 or 2, it doesn't matter. And that element is random based on the environment. I'm going to say the world is just a flexible environment. Yes. So there's like a 5 different types. So one is the flexible one, which you can use it for anything. And then other 4 is each of the element. And basically, when you cast... Oh, but then there could be easily an infinite cast. Do we want that? Oh, actually, it's okay. Okay. So whenever you cast with the element, it consumes the element. So for example, if you have like, let's say 4 flexible element or 3 flexible element to start with, and you consume 1 flexible element and you cast Firebolt, which queues up a fire element. Now you have 2 flexible and 1 fire element. I'm trying not to overcomplicate it. I'm trying to be very careful here. Because right now, if every cast can recharge a element, only thing that's stopping you from casting infinitely is the cooldown, right? I mean, definitely, I think higher level spells, I need to make sure that they queue up less element than they consume. I think that's one way to balance. Because, okay, the theory that I'm thinking about right now that could be potentially a problem, which I don't care if it is a problem, if it feels powerful, it's powerful, is it's so equally balanced that people can just collect bunch of different spells. They can have like, they know like 100 spells that all consumes different type of elements, and they can just cast one at all of them in a single turn. Because the only thing that's stopping them from casting multiple spell is the cooldown of the spells, right?
But I mean, like, if they end up doing that, I feel like it's okay. You need the element to cast. And the cooldown allows it so that you can't cast more. I don't want to add additional mana to manage, because that means we're going to have 2 separate resources to handle. Unless the gosh. I mean, is it too complicated if I do that? The other is excess. So what I'm hearing is that spell system is stack machine. Players will eventually learn the shunting yard algorithm to maximize their combos. I mean, that's the idea. I want people to feel kind of like that satisfaction of like, okay, well, I broke the game. Like, I can do infinite combo. And if they get to that after a perfect setup, then I'm like, yeah, go for it. Obviously, there will be the level design or the enemy design will make it so that that just can't happen all the time. But then if you set up for a specific boss that way, hey, look, I'm not stopping you. But at the same time, I got to make sure that it's not easy to do. So I'm making a decision here. Do I make it so that the element consumption is the only resource for spellcasting? Or is there a mana, which is basically stamina as resource, and element is just the status of the board? So the status of the board is the element, which is not getting consumed, but only just cycling through based on what's being casted or what the environment is. And then mana is being recharged in order to control how much can be casted. Becca says, I think mana and recharge should be general mana for all type of spells, and then the environment could be instead empower some kind of spells. Yeah, I'm leaning towards that. I mean, I definitely want to feel... Yeah. I think people are okay with mana. And I'll do incremental mana. I'll treat mana like stamina, where there's like, you start with like 5 mana or like 3 mana or less maximum. And mana recharges. Okay, fine. Elemental favor, we're going to say plus choose one desired element to queue. So we're going to have elemental, like elemental effect is the status of the board. So you have these like, I don't know, board status will have four slots for the elements, and they're filled randomly every turn. Or it's controlled by what's being casted. Yeah. Baka says, and the caster could use his mana as he wants. Know that it would take time to recharge. Yeah. Potentially. I think I see that as possibility. We'll see. I am anticipating some massive headache here. But we're gonna go down here. For now, we'll say mana system, elemental as the board state, casting ability queues up the desired or specified element. Now, I guess the question is, do I want like Expedition 33 style, where each spell queues up like unrelated element? For example, like Firebolt could queue up like, instead of fire element, it queues up a water. Because the idea is you're extracting the element in order to cast, so the opposite element gets charged up. Does that make sense? I mean, that's the idea. It doesn't have to make sense. It's just, for players, it's just a rule. It's just like they look at it and go, oh, okay, this one charges a water element. But then the concept behind that story, if I were to give myself the reason for it, is that casting doesn't add element to the environment. Casting is you're extracting element from the environment. So it's like if you have a neutral charge and you use up the positive charge, then what's remaining is negative charge, right? I think that makes sense. Because I think that's the way to do like these cyclical setup and combos, I think. And Healing Pulse is water here. I'm gonna say um Magic Mist. And that to me is whenever a water element gets queued up into the environment. When water element gets added to the environment, you gain +1 mana. The other Zach says the aesthetic of casting so much fire magic you've covered in frost is cool enough to cover any logical gaps. Yeah, exactly. Burn is fire damage applies burn. So this is like the mana gainer combo thing. I mean, this I think it's okay because like I cast so much fire. Maybe I can limit it to like once per turn. That's okay. Once per turn, you gain a certain amount of mana. That's too complicated. I like the idea of gaining mana every elemental gain. And some of these things will have limitation on what gets queued up. That plan is separate, I think. Okay. Downdraft here. This is very dangerous. We're already getting to a very dangerous territory. Restful breeze. Random ability gets its cooldown reduced by 20%. A single ability. So not everything, I think. Maybe everything? I don't know. There's part of it I have to think about. Cooldown reset, not reset, but a reduction on wind element Q. I mean, I need this type of like mechanic to make it feel like combo-y because I want people to immediately be like, oh my God, that seems so like OP. If it is actually or not is not the problem. I just need people to feel that feels OP. I want to try that. So we'll see. But you get what I'm saying. Maybe it needs to come down here like this. It's like a step. There's some step in the middle. We gotta give it like other like enticing options. Uh-huh. How about stone skin? Similarly, it's a passive. When you gain earth element, you gain armor, you gain an armor. Simple. So passive, 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 active. Fire is more active because it's like burning desire, I think. So this itself is pretty cool. We got the little passive thing. People are like, oh my gosh, I think I can already have an infinite combo. Potentially. I'm not really sure, but we'll see. Let's see. Another thing. I think we have to have something here. I'm thinking hard here, hard and long. Downdraft for pushing, displacement. I suppose this should be part of this. I know it's a little bit lame, but it's something we need. Which is you get accuracy. I guess spell accuracy is more the right word for it, I think. And that's part of the fire elemental benefits here. Magic mist, that's okay. Healing pulse is okay. It's water. And I think we're gonna add something like frost. Freeze ray. Freeze ray. Hey, Solo Kyle says, hey yo, hi. Hello, hello. We're making some skill trees out here for our game. And if I can spell freeze, it will be great. This one is status effect stuff. It's a new spell. That makes sense. Which consumes certain amount. Freeze, making the person skip a turn. Or it makes it so that they skip a turn. I think that's... Should there be a different status effect? Maybe, I don't know. Stone skin gives you armor. I think there could be a really cool ability here that's part of the armor where it's like it's kind of like a combination of earth and wind, in my opinion. This might have to be a spiral out because there's so many combination of elements here. I like the idea of like a charging. Molt, which is you lose all your armor via the projectile, but you do damage equal to the amount of armor you had. I like that. It's like you're building up, stacking up your armor and using your armor as damage. That could be fun. Freeze ray is status effect. And then we can have deep freeze, which increases the duration of the freeze. And then it makes it so that the enemy takes damage. Oh, you know what? Should that be a two separate thing? I do feel like I need a frostbite, which says basically your ice spells applies your ice spell applies frostbite damage over time if the spell applies frost effect or frost status. This one was a mana recovery here. So we got the health recovery, mana recovery, and then we can have one where it's a combination of fire and water. I think it can come from the burn here. So we need both of them, like so. And this would be basically healing fire. which basically says you heal whenever a fire element gets queued up, a minor amount, minor effect. And then we can say greater healing. We can say that would be healing effects. Heal an additional 1d4 amount, maybe. Like the spell effect or elemental effect that heals you. Or incoming heals an additional amount, maybe. Yeah, I like that. Healing fire for elemental. The burn, I think we could add another one here. Let's see. What could it be? I feel like there needs to be something with the fire, like a fireball type of situation. That makes sense. And that's I think, this thing. Like so. And that can be fireball, the notorious AoE. I want to make it so that fireball is big enough where basically you're definitely risking hitting yourself, because that's like kind of the known thing. And then we can say double burn here, which will be specific to the spell fireball. It'll say fireball applies double burn. Cool. And then I want to have where it's like we need both fireball and downdraft. Like so. And this will be fan the flame, which basically says, oh, you know what? Actually, this one should come from the burn. Like so. This one, I'm imagining, oh my goodness. What I'm imagining here is basically the burn count increases by 1 if the target already has burn when you apply wind damage. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. Very complicated, but I think we're getting there. Could be interesting. So we have Fend the Flame, which applying wind damage increases a burn effect. So we have these like burn build. Displacement build over here. I think I'm gonna do one more. Restful Breeze gives me cooldown on wind charge. We're gonna say reset, which it's an ability that costs mana that resets cooldown for all ability. So this is expending mana to recover cooldown, which can be a very risky thing to do. So I like that. And there could be a combo with the gaining of the mana here, which you gain mana per every water element charge up. I think we can have another one where it's like magic mist. Um, oops. Magic mist, which is the elemental recovery plus deep freeze. Um, frozen elixir or something like that. Doesn't matter. We can come up with a name. But idea is if you hit a frozen target that's affected by freeze, you gain mana. Damaging a frozen target gives you mana. So there's this like some mana combo cycling, burn stuff, and then we have the stone skin here, and we molt to damage armor, so we can do armor based damage here. I think we can do something here with the deep freeze and stone skin here. That could be interesting. I don't know if it should be a combination ability, but the idea is, let's see. I mean, that could be separate. I think I need to make sure this comes separately here. Over there. I'm going to put malt actually over here, so that's out of the way. Oops. Then put this over here, maybe. I'm going to have to move all this, actually. And basically, this one, I'm thinking... if you damage a target in a melee range while having armor, you get a chance of restraining a unit, which I guess basically is freeze. I'm going to say instead of restraining or entangling, I'm going to say freeze the target. If you hit a target while... Oh, you know what? Otherwise. Okay, we're going to say frosty armor. If the target hits you while you have armor, that target gets frozen. Pretty cool. Got it. Molt is shedding armor in order to damage. I guess we can have some other earthen type of attack, maybe? That's something we need, potentially. Not really sure what that could be. Oops. Let me just make sure. I feel like there's something missing here. We got stone malt, stone skin malt here. Fend the Flame is combination of burn and downdraft. Definitely we need one more thing at downdraft and one more thing in stone wall, I feel. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to do molt as a burning molt, which I almost feel like you need a fire along with it, but I'm not going to do that right now. That's too much. So I'm going to say melting skin, which applies burn on target hit by molt. And then we got the frosty armor for kind of like the armor of Agathe. Agathe, I guess. Agathe, doesn't matter. Type of effect. Stonewall is displacement. Stone skin is good. It's a new ability. I feel like there needs to be an upgraded version of the Stonewall. Not really sure what that is just yet. Do feel like people need to do this. Reset is really powerful here. And then I'm going to put high level gain here. -1 CD. Or, yeah, +1 max mana. That should be probably somewhere here. And then have that again down here, I guess. Or 2 opportunity for max mana. And then we can have Tool Rush. Brains Up says the upgrade of Fireball is more Fireball. Yeah, exactly. Elemental Rush will be... This is going to be interesting, I think. What I'm thinking of... I don't know if this one requires... Because if I make it so that, like, oh, you need the ultimate version of everything in order to upgrade this, if that feels a little bit unfair. Or does it? What I'm thinking about is basically... I don't know. Is that too much? It seems like it's too much to implement. If I say you get to recast everything you casted this turn. Or I could just simply say deal damage equal to, or deal damage based on the amount of mana you have remaining. It uses all your mana to do massive AoE damage. Damage to everything. Board wipe. I mean, Fireball is almost a board wipe. So this one feels a little similar. Ooh, you know what I need? Okay. I need a refreshing hit, actually. Somehow. I don't know what would give me refreshing hit. Fire damage. I mean, I feel like I'm overloading the fire damage. Fire damage is like way too powerful. Fire is damage. Fire wind is giving me more burn. Fire and water is giving me healing on damage or healing on passive. There needs to be some sort of refreshing hit, no? Is that enough that we have it over here? Killing blow gives me cooldown reduction on kill. Tidio says, hey, new here. What we doing? We're working on our little skill tree for our new game. Well, new game is relative. But the game we're working on as our little weekly challenge. So we have been doing the whole thing in my video weekly release of like updating how many updating so that we are creating so that we can create and finish games together as indie devs. I'm doing it. I'm reporting my weekly update, and you're going to do it and then update us. Some people have already joined our Discord and did it. So I'm working on that game. And that game right now is this thing. I already have a mock-up for. Is like this roguelike RPG combat thing. Basically, this is the combat, and you do blah 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 blah, a little like Baldur's Gate situation, and then just like Slay the Spire, you explore into different world, except some of the locations are locked in. So you have very specific items that you can farm and go for to come up with a build. The whole idea is that, and so I wanted to give a reward of skill point on every clear. Every time you clear a enemy or boss, whatever, you'll be given skill point, and then I want people to be able to use the skill point to apply to their skill tree. So I'm coming up with some skill tree for 2 different items, and skill tree, the skill, what do you call, tree differs based on the weapon that you're maining. So I'm just coming up with that right now. I think this is a good stopping point for the skill tree. I like it. I'm gonna probably need some reminder of what this all means. Before now, I think I'm going to keep it at that. And we'll probably do like the 1.2.3 point. That's something we can add later. Hey, thanks for the follow, Swap. Tidio says, "Oh goodness, cool. I'll look for the Discord." Yeah, no problem. I mean, I feel like Discord link should be on the description. My bot has been broken for a while now. I don't know why it's not working. My cloud bot is on strike. Yo, hold on. Let me see if I can turn it back on. Hey, cloud bot is working. I guess it is working. Yeah. So on our Discord channel, we have the My Game Progress channel. And so far, we have been seeing some updates. This was my 2nd week update video. So I'm releasing a video. I'm hoping that there's enough people that I feel excited about and feel unashamed enough that I could share their progress as part of the weekly report. So I'm like also providing a little bit of like devlog for the community, for those who has no time to make devlog themselves. So yeah. Baka Design says, could you demonstrate on mockup how spell would be cast? Okay, I will. I don't have this file right now because it's on my other computer, the graphic file. But I think I could draw something new here. So let's say, it doesn't really matter what the color scheme is, I guess, for now. So let's say on this whole situation, actually, you know what? I could download it, couldn't I? The spell mockup. Let me find it, actually. So this one, I'm going to save here. Desktop. And that's a good point. I do need to kind of mock it up a little bit. Oh. Okay. Apparently this is doubled in size for some reason. But I think nonetheless we can... Gee. Okay. Wow. I don't know why this happened, but anyways. So idea is this would be mana instead, right? So we'll have, instead of yellow, maybe we'll have something like blue here. And then the spells will, in addition, we'll have element in the environment, which I guess I don't know where I would do it, but maybe I'll do it over here. So something like this. You see something along, oh my goodness, along the lines of this, and then you might see stuff like, you know, you would see like so, fire, you know, water, and then you have the wind, and what did we say? Earth. I guess Earth can be just rock. So we'll have like a rock. Boom, 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 like that. So basically, right now, we have mana, 4 mana, so we can use 1 mana to cast Firebolt. And it says, I cast Firebolt, and then this goes blank like that. And that means a new element gets charged. So it's going to go like, oops. It's going to remove this and then get another fire here. Because it's queued. Basically, it's going this way. Like that. So you have like a max of 4. And then like, I guess that was a bad example here. So we had like this, for example, if this is the current element, if I cast Firebolt, and part of the condition of the Firebolt, it'll just say -1 mana. If it's like a special cast where it requires an element, it'll say requirement -1 mana, and then like 2 fire element, right? So what's going to happen is that if I cast the one, let's say I do Fireball, which requires 2 fire element, and let's say I do have that. I'm going to say I have it right here. So if I say, oh, I see 2 fire elements, so I'm allowed to do it. And then part of the fire element of Fireball cast, it says Q 1 water and 1 or 2 wind, let's say. So if I cast it, what happens is that instead of consuming it, I think, or maybe it does consume, I don't know. It's going to basically move this whole thing over by 2. And then we get basically the 2 winds here. Boop. Boop, like that. And then this will go away. Like so. Now, I guess the question is like, should it consume? Because otherwise it's confusing. Or should it just leave whatever's on the board alone? It only queues up new things. Requirement is just requirement of the board, and it just queues up new element. That's the basically the idea. Does that make sense? I think. Baka says, I mean, on the drawing with the little guy. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Digital says, if you do find the fun, please let me know where it is. I'm finding it. I think we are here, Iliad. Yet again, another project, I know. But this one is serious. Were you here when I was explaining the whole weekly challenge thing? Or did I explain to you? Digital says, let me get some of that fun then. Yeah, exactly. Like, the challenge is good. Yeah, you mentioned it to me a bit. Yeah. I mean, I like it. I like the fact that people are hopping on board right now. Yeah, I guess because you rated me last week and explained it to your viewers last time. But yeah, so far we have gotten pretty good following here. So under our My Game Progress, this is meant to be our like weekly update for each individual projects. So far we've seen 3 updates. I've seen 1 update on the video itself. So this was my week 1 update, and you can see like, I mean, I talked about, oh my gosh, stop it. I talked about the progress I made, how I did a mock-up and all that stuff. So I can actually see some people being like, hey, good luck, guys, and all that stuff. So it's exciting. Exciting to see everyone doing it. So that's where we're at. We are all going to finish a game this year. Maybe at PAX or on Steam next Fest of August, we'll just have like developer Ezra and people's game section. There's so much that we can have it. Jacob says, this is our moment. Exactly. Digital says, oh, wow, that's great engagement so far. Yeah, engagement has been good. It seems like a lot of people were struggling with like, because like, you know, I do a lot of tutorial stuff and, you know, technical stuff is all that. But I'm like, you know, there's a beginners who doesn't know how to code and don't know how to make games. And there are majority of the groups that are not in that group. Majority of the people are, they know how to code, they know how to make games, and maybe they need help in like some of the more technical stuff. But then the real problem is that they don't know, or they don't have the motivation to push it to finish, of whatever the reason is, you know? So I was like, I feel like there's something that we need to do here because we're really stuck here. So Jacob says, "Hey, digital." But yeah, we're having a good time. We're having a good time. So okay, we just finished the skill tree here. I want to do a little map design a little bit. Map design being like location for this like very first gameplay, because I wanna place some items. I want to place some items and some events that feels fun to navigate. And I think I will probably use this as a model here. This thing that I initially drew. So instead of randomly generating, for now, I think I'm going to curate it. And then I'll come up with the randomly generated solution. Baka says, maybe you consume the element required for your spell, and maybe you consume the element required for your spell and the mana accordingly. Then at the end of the turn, you can choose to retain one of the remaining element, and then it rolls a new element to add for the next turn. I have to be careful here because part of the design I was thinking about is the spell in itself having a built-in element for queuing up potentially. I'm not sure if that's good or not, because then it really locks down on what order you can cast in, like what is unlocked, which could be annoying. And that was experience I had with Lune in Expedition 33. So maybe. Baka says the environment or item could play a role on chance to roll certain elements. River, landscape, yeah. I think so, for sure. Or, you know what would be awesome? If there's like, depending on the, okay, so you have the rolling element. Hey, thanks for the follow, by the way. I don't know who it was. Welcome Dragon sub, Jacob, thanks for the sub. Ooh, I got an idea. That gives me an idea. Locked element. Element that's always available because of the environment. The environment gives you, like, let's say, depending on the environment, it's like always fire, always earth. So there's a section for like the permanent environment, and there's a section for automatic environment, like the environment that cycles through. Baka says could it just add a element and pool at the end, or even better, like a Tetris, so you can kind of see what's coming up. So let's say you have like the upcoming elements and then the current elements, and you can see that it's going to come up, and then basically the spells will change the front part of the upcoming element. I don't know. I'm getting really complicated. Match 3. If you match 3 elements, they pop. There's a lot of mini games that's potentially possible. We'll see. The magic system is always really complicated. It can be. I just need to make sure. I mean, once again, remember, I don't want to deviate from the goal. The goal was within 5 minutes of gameplay, I need to get it. I do feel like even if this is like complicated, the basics of the gameplay is gettable. But at the same time, I gotta make sure there a lot of the components and mechanics of the game needs to be self-explanatory in some ways by looking at the dynamics of like what gets highlighted and how things move. Like I can just automatically grok what is happening without having to spell it out. Katamoy says, hi friend, what game are you making? I'm making a kind of RPG combat inspired Baldur's Gate 3, namely roguelike adventure in some sense. Think Slay the Spire plus Baldur's Gate 3 combat, but condensed. The focus right now is making sure that the combat looks very condensed, And this is a stamina system for Marshall. You can collect relics to have some passive effect, like Slay the Spire, to empower your actions in general. And then there's some grid-based movement, location, and tile-based stuff. And then every encounter gives you skill point where you can, so instead of card, you're upgrading your skill tree, which is based on your weapon. Depending on what weapon you're starting with, which is equivalent to Slay the Spire's class, you get different skill tree, and then you get to upgrade your skill tree. And then the major combo part is, of course, there are like items, like relics I was talking about, items that you can equip to your character to have these like combo effect. One of which you can see an example of, like, oh, I forgot about action surge, but like, for example, you can have something like critical danger accessory, which says 100% crit chance when wearer is below 30% health. Or like I have refreshing hit, which is on a glove, dealing melee damage, reduces random ability cooldown by 1 turn, and stuff like that. So you can come up with these like complicated combo and builds like a deck builder, but I'm trying to make it so that it's not a deck builder. Kedamoe says, interesting. So it's 2D plane, player left, enemy right, and spells you can access plus talent tree. Yeah. Kedamoe says, interesting. You are into design. I like that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying creating the thing. I'm trying to do it properly. I mean, this is my 1000th time explaining it today, but I'm sure people are okay with it. A lot of people are co-working anyways. I'm trying to finish a game. The goal is we're going to finish a game as a community. We have all these people and game developers in our community and our Discord doing a weekly update, committing and being accountable for finishing a game. And part of the design challenge that I gave myself earlier was that I want to make a game that you can understand and have fun within 5 minutes of seeing the game. So I did the mock-up first. Now that I did the mock-up, I'm looking at some of the mechanics. I did a first-time playthrough experience here. Combat scenario, level 1 fight. Here are example enemies, and here are example player movement. And I got to the reward section because I definitely think there needs to be a reward for every encounter. And I was like, okay, well, what is a reasonable reward? And I was like, you know what? Just +1 base enemy. Like, we're so used to choose 3, right? Where every time you're done with a encounter, like the 3 options pop up that you choose from. Like, I'm kind of tired of it. And if it's just like simply +1 number, it's kind of boring. So I wanted to do these like special effect, like building a deck builder. But then like, it's too powerful. Like, you can only have so many encounters before the scale and the scope of the ability becomes huge. So I am opting for skill tree and skill point here for a reward. And then for combo effect, I'm hoping that I can put some story elements in here. Digital says co-struggling, more like. Yeah, exactly. Co-working, co-struggling. We're here. We're all here. So part of doing that right is that I'm trying to focus on scoping and designing the fun of the game first. So right now, I just did a skill tree with everyone here today. I'm going to come up with the map, the encounter map right now. I'm going to design an encounter map. I guess I should probably do that on the draw.io as well. Why not? It's a flowchart anyways. So we're going to do encounter map design for that demo gameplay. And then we're going to do system design to plan out what kind of components and, you know, architectural structure we need to have for our game. So I'm not coming up with the plan on the go, and also gives me an encouragement to not expand our scope. We're locking our scope down. BrainZep says, take it from here, Claude. Here are all the design elements, and here are all the plans. Here's a document. Make sense of it and make code for me. Is that what people do these days? Kedamoy says, sorry, I just discovered you. So a game like this would be really nice to have in multiplayer ladder where players can express skills. Yeah, I would love that actually. And you know what? Guess what? Guess what kind of question I get on my tutorial like once a week at least. I have a deck builder tutorial and I do other tutorials and technical stuff. Somebody always comes on live and being like, "Hey Ezra, have you done have you done multiplayer on Godot?" I'm like, "No. I have an idea, but I haven't done it." Hey, yo, thanks for the raid. Is it Pabidom or Pabidom? Pabidom. It's like kingdom, right? Pabidom, not dom as in dominatrix. Anyways, thanks for the raid. Here, I'll give you a shout out. Go check him, Pabidom. Hello. Hi. I'll follow you here. So that next time I look for somebody to raid, I have another friend. Okay, Fruit Superman says, I had this idea of the map being cards in deck. Ooh, that you draw from to advance. You can also interact with it via so there's this, okay, for Superman, I'm not trying to be like, oh, there is one. I think this is a good inspiration. There was a card deck builder. It's like a eldritch horror type of thing where the idea is you're in this like decaying map. It was a board game. I forgot what it was called. I need to ask. It's a decaying map, and you draw from the pile to lay onto the grid on the map, and then you can move on from there. And the idea is you have a little candlelight, so every time you move up, everything that is not adjacent to you disappears, and then the map is like constantly changing. And then like you run into these like eldritch horror. It's like a horror game type of thing. Hey, Blink. Human Studio says, hey, what are we making? Sorry. This is the mock-up of the RPG roguelike game that I'm trying to make that is inspired by Slay the Spire plus Baldur's Gate 3 type of combat. Here's a map mock-up. We have worked on our skill tree for the upgrades. We're part of design aspects. Right now we're trying to design. We did a mock-up, so we're designing. We did the skill tree as a reward. We're trying to come up with a manual version of the point of interest mapping, kind of like encounter map. So how does it start? Right? Player chooses weapon. Right now we only have magic staff and dagger, which is okay. And then we're going to go to the first encounter. First basic encounter. And then we can have different types here. I want every encounter to be unique in this demo. I want every encounter to be unique, meaning every enemy that the player runs into is something they have to strategize over. So we'll do basic encounter number 1, which I think, and then we can have basic encounter number 2 here. And then the choice is 2 of them. I mean, choosing between an encounter and encounter is like what's the meaning behind this? What meaning does this have? Okay, if you're introduced to this, you're going like, okay, I chose my weapon, I'm going to go to the next one. The meaning, I think, is in the path. The encounter itself is not what we're looking at, but I do think that you're choosing a path, right? So for example, if I say, hey, eventually I wanted to make it so that there's like a magic forest that players know for sure is there's a story beat. And then I have the, what do you call? Some merchant on street, right? Shop. And then later down the road, there's like, I don't know, village. Then I guess depending on where what goes, I would make a choice. I guess that's a good enough reason to choose one way or another. So initial is still a random encounter between the two types, but what the player is making the decision for is where am I going after? And of course we have a boss fight here. TDO says, I also asked earlier, might need what we doing. I know. I have a today chat, but I haven't updated it. Or a chatbot command. It's okay. Somebody can write it for me, then I can copy paste. Or I could pin. I could pin it. If somebody can summarize it for me and put it on the chat, I'll pin it. Thank you. Ablink says, hi, is this a beginning of the end? Dyro, Anthropic AI CEO, called 12 months before software engineers are replaced. No, I haven't seen it. I mean, I would love to see how that turns out. Maybe. You know, they have. Look, here's the thing. It's hard to tell if they're telling the truth or not, right? Because they're not a neutral party. These people are not neutral party. They're not neutral party in the sense that they have something to gain. Right? So like I can't just take those word for it. I mean, I've seen what the industry is doing via what my friends are saying who's in the industry. And it doesn't seem like it. But you know, the technology could have changed within those period. Nightbat says, warn against too many choice before seeing any gameplay. Players need context for choice to matter. Exactly. Players definitely need choice to matter. That's why I did these 2 items, which, hold on. Whoops, not that. The 2 items that I made, there's only 2 choice, which I guess I don't recommend them choose these. So where is it? Oh my god. Recent. Is it under recent? Skill tree. So I did dagger, which is martial, and magic stuff, which is magical. So it's like a very clear choice between like what kind of style we're looking for. And I guess I could describe it as like dagger for like physical, nimble attacks, magic for casting spells, using element and mana. This one is based on the map. I think people not having any choice in the beginning, like non-informed choice is okay. It's just like the very first time they see this choice is like, oh, okay, whatever, dude. Like, I don't care. So we can do that. Let's see. Human Yo-Yo Studio says, random fun fact, I am the developer behind a game called Clean Fall. I just joined your Discord if you ever want to connect. Yeah, I'll take a look. Why not? Did you launch it? Wait, I'm not familiar with Clean Fall. I'm sorry. If it's a big deal, I'm sorry I don't know already. I'm pretty I live under the rock. Hey, it is launched. Everybody check out Clean Fall. We love to share games made by other developers. Hey, pretty very positive. It's good. Look at that. It's another roguelike though. It's fun.
You are a small disgruntled cleaner.
Oh, that looks so good. I love it. Yeah, why not? Let's take a look. Save it, everyone. You can share it on the share Discord. Human says, haha, it's a tiny game on Steam. Well, tiny or not, you finished a game. You are one up on us. Baby Dom says, no, Dom is just first syllable of my last name. Oh, like, okay, I see. But it's totally about Dom, haha. Okay. Sorry for reading your message late, baby. Shakal Prog, or I don't know how to say your name. Shakal. Je connais les trois premières lettres de. No, I don't know what that means. I don't know. Somebody translate French for me. Is that French? I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. I have no idea what language that is. DeFace, thanks for the follow. Thanks for the follow, Shakal, as well. Katamoy says, I think this game can take off if you do multiplayer or ranked because it looks skill-based and against AI, it gets boring pretty fast. Yeah. You know, I'm reluctant, but I see what you're saying. It could be fun. I guess the only thing is like, what about the build? Like, do you come from two different town and then you go up to a single place? Then how do you encounter each other constantly? Like, if it's about making a build and then combating, then you have this like story aspect that you have to make a build for before doing a King of the World type of combat. Ooh, what if like you can see where people are at? That could be interesting. And then you're all going for the same relic, because like in order to build your in order to have your build, you need to take the relic. So you guys are like all going there, and then you have like the side track. If somebody's getting there first, and then you have to be like, that could be interesting. You know what? I'll keep that in mind. That could be really fun. I do know that people love being competitive, and that usually goes really viral too. Abling says he made a prediction 12 months ago that 90% of code will be generated by AI, and we're almost there. Abling says, buy it and play day one. Yeah, play it one day. Yeah, I don't want to do a transaction right now on stream at least. You know, I don't know, Abling. Look, predictions are predictions. Yeah, sure, it can replace it, but I keep having to say this. I don't know. Like, are you in the industry? Because we know as programmers, like, writing the code is not software engineering. Like, that's like the easiest part of software engineering. Especially when, like, you know, when I was working at Amazon and Google, like that, like writing the code was like such a small part of my time, in my opinion. I mean, it was a big part of it, but then like that was not the struggle. Saving time in that itself is not like threatening to a job security. I guess it is threatening to the job security for entry position, I guess, in some sense. But there are aspects to it where it's like you still need to review it. As I said before, the companies risking money to fully automate by AI writing are risking a lot. So it's really hard. It's really hard. Abling says Claude doesn't just write code. I know. I have a friend who works at Anthropic. And that person is always like, hey, oh my gosh, VS Code is so amazing, blah, 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 blah. You can use it. And then, you know, I get encouraged. But I still see, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to speak, like, obviously, I don't want to risk it saying anything, but I just feel, I don't know. I don't know how much I trust that. The other Zach says, if writing code was the hard part, outsourcing would be easy. Outsourcing is rarely easy. Dude, outsourcing is such a pain. Such a pain. I mean, you don't have managerial role for no reason. I mean, sometimes you do, but truly, Ebling says, I'm not sure what makes you feel it's syntax generator. I'm not saying that it is a syntax generator. Like, okay, so my friend who is using Claude a lot and is working at Anthropic always tells me about all these things. Like, you can really like have it write the test for you. You can like have it correct for certain bugs, and like if there's a bug, you can be like, this is the bug, we need to write a unit test, and you can really like do a tight control on the process so that it feels more robust. Really good. I appreciate that. And that is still, in my opinion, that is still decision at a very base level. You know, it's the, like, I could write that prompt, give it to contractor, get the result, and then have a product, but still have like 80% of the work that needs to be done. I'll give you a story. So I was watching this video, which I think, and I trust this person. This person comes from a big tech that's involved heavily on AI, Gen AI development, and they're developing AI tools. That's, you know, Gen AI tools. And things that you don't know, maybe you do know, that we like to do in these tech companies are we have hackathons. So when a team come up with new product, new technology, because they don't want to spend time or they don't know exactly how they're going to productionalize their tools, what they say is, here's a technology. We're going to have a hackathon where different people from different teams, like all over the company, can freely join, form a team. And the hackathon theme is usually like, use this product and use this technology to come up with a innovative solution that saves money, that brings benefit to customers, and that would do really well, right? So then they do the hackathon and they come up with amazing ideas. And this team actually came up with some solution that's like, oh my gosh, this saves. They made a solution. I'm not going to talk about the details, but basically is like it handles 90% of the customer pain. It handles 90% of the customer pain. Where, okay, let's say it's a chatbot. Let's say they made an amazing chatbot that handles like 95% of the traffic. And then they took it to their leader, and then the leader was like, I don't know, this doesn't, like, it's not good. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, this is 90%, 95%. This is huge. This saves so much money. And then the reality was that no, it doesn't save that much money because 95% of the case is already solved within minutes by a Q&A page. Like, those easy problems are not what we need to solve for. It's that 5% of the cases that is consuming most of our money and time. So like if you're solving that's something already easy that already has a solution for, then there's no product. So that's where I feel like the Gen AI might be in. Now, obviously, CEO is saying that from Anthropic. They have something to win. So I don't know if I want to fully invest in that statement. But again, I haven't used Claude myself. I've only heard it from all the people who love it. So, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt of like, yeah, maybe it can replace, but I haven't seen it yet. Human Studio says, I'm definitely not worried about job security and coding game development. I don't think AI will scale hard enough to actually make the job obsolete at all. I have a statement for that one. Evelyn says, Claude itself is written by Claude itself. Don't you feel it has improved over years as software? I'm sure it has. It's amazing. I don't think I'm going to say that it's not amazing. It's amazing. I love machine learning. Guess what? In like second year of working at Amazon, I had extra time. So I started online grad school. I started a master's degree. Which I didn't finish because I was like, you know what, the work got really busy. But I took it for like 2 years, and at that time, which was like what 2015 or something like that. At the time, neural network and machine learning was hot. This is when like Google was doing stuff like AlphaGo and like cat and dog classification. The classification solution via neural network was coming up as a application. So I did the machine learning thread. The technology since then hasn't changed much. There is this other aspect of like the whole RAG situation and like talking about the decay, context decay, and all that stuff. I do pay attention to it. I know there's a lot of development and improvement in that space. Yet, we're still struggling with overfitting and underfitting. Like that's just something. It's just somebody has to be there. So I don't know. Kane says, I use Claude. It's fine as a tool, but it can't replace no one, not even junior engineers. Kane says that. Digital says, I would go so far as to say it's large language model. Whoa, mind blown. Aveling says that operates at scale. It's living proof that AI can do the whole thing by itself. Hackathon projects are not products, not disregarding what you said. No, I get it. Look, there may be something really important. There may be something really powerful in there. Okay? Look, there may be. But there are so many problems we need to solve as society before that becomes a thing. Namely, financial problem. You can't ignore the financial problem. It is a known truth how much money that these AI companies are losing by running these research and running, even without the payment of the research, by running the product itself, right? It's not a secret that they don't have enough money, even if all of their current users, even the free users, become a paid user, like a premium user, it still wouldn't cover the price of running the model, running the servers, and buying the machines, right? At the billions. And that's why they came up with this strategy of buying each other's company, promising future purchases. to fund it. But who's investing in these? Somebody's investing in this out of speculation. Even if I say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to wait for the price to go up and then pull my hand out when it, starts to, or like the people do this because they are anticipating future improvement and future profit. But if the companies are over and over again and say, I can't charge enough to make profit or be stable, but the technology is going to eventually stagnate, where are we going to come up with money for that? Who's going to continue to pay for that? And here's a catastrophe that can happen. Somebody needs to either buy the company when they bankrupt. Otherwise, every dependencies that relies on these companies, for example, let's say ChatGPT, for example, or Anthropic, for example, if they do go out of business, some company or bank or somebody needs to purchase their system and existing platform while limiting the usage and upping the price in order to retain and continue operating everybody else who's depending on it. What happens to those people who is depending on that and then the company goes under? Where does the model go? Where does the machine go? I mean, there are a lot of issues there. And then the whole like cost versus environment and people fighting, like you can't ignore the societal effect because that's part of human life, unfortunately. Fortunately. So I don't know, dude. I know you feel strongly and I'm not going to ignore your stance. And I believe there are something, but I can't help but think about those other aspects. Microsoft says Digital says Microsoft is letting AI write 90% of their code, and it clearly is going well for them so far. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Microsoft is going to go out of business soon. Their products and decisions have been pretty bad. And a lot of people are, I've never seen so many migration to Linux in my computing life, I think, since the 90s. Nightbat says, even if AI can or could code, I still want to make games. I still want to code. I want to do my art. Yeah, of course. And that's another thing. Did I tell you about a trend on YouTube? The trend on YouTube right now, the thumbnails, I don't know if you notice, more and more people are doing just bare thumbnails. I started doing that too, where it's just person's face with a text, like just like a talking head. And then the edits are getting less and less. You know what that trend is for? Because people are so tired of AI slops and getting tricked by the AI slops that people are preferring to click on things that looks real, that looks unfantastic. And I know that's only part of the crowd, but once again, like if you're not that crowd, that's fine. But you got to think about the majority. Like we're not the majority, right? A single person is not majority. You got to look at the overall trend, and that kind of tells you where the society's flavor or favor is. Remember VHS, the videotape? I don't know if you guys remember video. This is a famous story. VHS versus Betamax, right? Quality-wise, Betamax tapes were better. But people just liked VHS more. It just marketed better. There was a public opinion, so that won. Betamax went away. HD DVD versus Blu-ray. Same thing. I mean, it's like public opinion matters. And public opinion is like, it's hard to grasp, I think. Even if there's future, even if the technology has future, it doesn't mean future is guaranteed, I think. Human says, I haven't used any AI while developing my video games. Do you think I am wasting time? Should I use it? Look, you can try it. I really don't think, like, if you feel like it's something that you could get help from, you could try it. You could try it. I've tried it. I'm not perfect in shader logic a lot of the time. So sometimes I use it for shader logic, but I also still have to, like, it's not perfect enough where I can just copy and paste and make it work. I still have to go through and understand each line and do it. And I also know that it's good for like researching, but you still need to double check still. So use it as a tool if you want to, but I still don't think it's a waste of time to know the underlying logic. or how to do things. Um, like novel writers, people who know English already, and they know it at a professional level, they still use editors. They still go through publisher editors. And even the editors, their work will still go through proofreading, right? People who know how to do the job still needs confirmation. And then when it comes back to me as a writer, I still need to confirm that in case they made a mistake. It's the same thing. Knowing at a certain base level the fundamentals doesn't hurt you. It's not a waste of time, in my opinion. Thanks for the follow, Fike. Okay, Abeling says, I think you need to read more on the recent stuff. I don't know if you have heard about continual learning. There's a lot of development that's been done. It's not just hype, it's actually mathematical proofs. I think only thing that can't be replaced by these bots is human touch. I mean, for sure. I have read up to, it's like a few months ago when they were like hyping up agentic, or is that what they call it? Agentic learning, and then all the new techniques and stuff like that. I talked to my friends. So I have obviously my old coworkers from Amazon who is now at Google working on Gemini, and I have one working on Meta, and then as I said, I have one working on Anthropic, and we've chatted. So I get to hear about their excitement. They're excited. They do think that something will happen, but then they're all talking about the same thing. Not enough data out there. It's just not enough data out there. And then getting rid of the poison pill is expensive, manual work, which we don't have solutions for. And then the whole like somebody needs to make money. Otherwise, within 2-3 years, investors will pull out before the AI gets that part of like actually being useful. It's like, I'm not saying it's not going to be useful. The reality is, in order for it to get there, people need to trust that they can make profit out of it. And if the whole point of using AI in the first place was to replace people and make things cheaper, if it costs too much, so for example, like Anthropic or like ChatGPT or whatever, they're like, okay, well, we need to now start covering for the cost of our business, and they charge more to match that. You as a user, you're using Claude right now. It's amazing. You're really excited. Would you still use it if it costed like 10 times the amount, like per token? I don't know if you would. Like, it's hard to afford that, right? Like, that matters. Like, no matter how amazing it is, there is a price point where you'll be like, okay, I can't use it anymore. And that's the balance right there, I think. I know, I'm sorry we're talking about all these things, but it's just something that's interesting. Oh, hydrate. Thanks. I gotta get water. I'll do that. Nightbat says, oh, well, hey. Oh, yeah, in order to water the berry folk, you need to plant the berry folk first. You gotta go to the redeem and do plant berry folk. And then if you water them 9 times, you get a chance of getting one of these strawberry folk. Go get it. Go collect them all. I don't know. It's just my opinion. You know what I mean? It's an opinion. Like, look, I feel I feel a certain level of conviction because of my bias. And that may be right or wrong, or maybe the truth is somewhere in between. But, you know, is what I'm saying. Digital says, Microsoft CEO recently made a generous statement that if AI turns out to be a bubble, it'll be our fault for not adopting it quickly enough. I mean, it's kind of true. It's kind of true, but it's not a fault. It's not a fault. It's like if you have to put a blame on. I see what he's saying, right? The CEO is saying it's not the technology is bad. It's that we were too hesitant. Sure. But it's not like, it's a silly statement to make. It's like, if you don't win lotto, only thing you can blame is yourself for not buying the lotto ticket. Like, it's stupid to say, I think, in some weird ways. First Superman says, like the flashy becomes obsolete, it's no longer attractive. Yeah. Nightbat says, new technology blooms when porn adapts it. But we're trying to limit it. So Jacob says, lol. I'll go get water. Fine. All right, y'all chat. Digital says, we really should have invented cold fusion first. Yeah, bad tech tree path. We are working on it. I mean, I look at all the nuclear engineers working on it. We should stop and put all our money into nuclear fusion. Maybe that's why. I mean, look, if quantum computing and nuclear fusion comes first, maybe AI will be amazing. I can see that. I can see that happening. TDS says, use it as a tool, not as crutch. Human says, I haven't used any AI while developing my video game. Do you think I'm wasting time? I already answered that. Kane says, you can use AI as tool and support, but people who think they will be able to make proper game with specific requirement with just AI without coding skills are delusional. Isaiah says, so I've been developing my own game, but I'm having a hard time thinking of ways to market it, mainly because I have a full-time job and other obligations. Do you have any tips for this kind of situation? Okay, I said this in my recent video. I think there is something to say about coming up with a highlight phrases for your game, like what your game is most fun for, and then coming up with a visual thumbnail for it, and making a day zero devlog. Make a day zero devlog. Like the impression goes wild. People love games. People are looking for games that fit certain vibe. And if they look at it and they go, I'm not going to look at it, and an algorithm doesn't push it, doesn't mean it's not a good idea, but it's a pretty good indicator. Otherwise, and I mean, that's a good way to market. Because if you get attraction, then you can start continuously publish that content. What YouTube is good at is once people find something attractive, if you do the same thing again, they actually reward you. It doesn't bore the people. They actually want to see the same thing over and over again for some reason. Kane says, exactly. It's just another tool in the toolbox. And when it's expensive, no one will use it. We're bad cop out. Yeah, exactly. The other Zach says, the whole AI thing makes me think about the first time I worked with an art director who didn't have a traditional 2D art background, didn't do paint overs as part of the feedback process, didn't really know how to use concept artists. Make me feel bad for anyone who will eventually have a boss who only knows LLM assisted programming. Yeah. I mean, that's what when you get to the point of like, they never have been on the ground with you, so they don't know what to expect and they just manage badly. I'm gonna get water and then we'll say goodbye here. But at the same time, at Blink, I know you feel strongly. I'm sorry. I'm just like singling you out as a, I'm not trying to, I'm just speaking my mind. But you know, I know we have a history. Look, you can think all logically here, but truth is that people want things. And sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it does. Let's see. Okay. I think we had a good session today here. Isaiah says, thank you. I saw your recent video. That's why I popped in. I've slowly been planning my social media game plan. Yeah, and don't be disappointed if it doesn't work. But at the same time, look, honestly, I actually get cold call emails from game developers all the time of like trying to showcase their game. And if they're asking for like, hey, I want you to give me feedback, then I do. I give genuine feedback on how I feel about the game. Of course, it really depends on if I'm your audience or not. But if they're like, hey, I want to promote this game, can you do it? Can we do a like sponsorship or like what do you call collaboration, I am game, like as in like I'm just telling you in case you want to reach out to other people. It doesn't have to be me. I'm like usually like, oh yeah, sounds cool. But then I take a look at the game first and see how I feel about the game. So this is like a tough way to find out the whole marketing aspect. You can market your game. You can offer money to push your game. But if the person is not, especially a small to medium, is not willing to do the promotion at a certain cost, that says something about the game's quality. So, like, if it's a good game, I would love to do a review because it's a content. It's free content. I don't have to plan a content. I just play the game, review the game. But if the game itself doesn't look like it's going to grab attention, then I don't want to do it. So there's that. TDS says maybe we also need a exclamation back to business. Oh, we need a what do you call redeem for that for sure. Okay, well, I mean, we did a lot today. I'm not too worried about it. I'll do this right here. Demo map. Save it on Drive. Isaiah also says to human, I'll take that advice and give it my earnest try. Thank you, and maybe feedback session one day. Yeah, feedback session is always up. Come to our Discord and share your game. We have various people with different type of way of giving feedback. Some are more brutally honest than the other. So you'll get your range of feedback there. Discord. If you're not already in there. Let's see. Even says, I got 8,000 wish lists by emailing YouTubers with my demo. Influencers are the backbone of marketing for sure. Oh yeah, great. I should interview Human here. They're like, what is the marketing secret? Okay. All right. I'm gonna rate out here on Twitch. And then once the raid is done, we'll leave YouTube here. Thanks for the sub, whoever that is. Thanks for something, somebody. That was Isaiah. Yeah. Welcome. Excuse me. Oh, JD's here. He's been only on for 1 hour and 30 minutes. I guess we could go to JD. We haven't been there. All right, let's go to JD. And JD's working on Godot, so perfect. All right, everyone, here we go. Thanks for the follow on Twitch as well, Isaiah. Helps a lot. But for now, it is a goodbye. I'm here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the most part, and I make announcements of the time on the day of on my Discord, so do follow. Thanks for the follow on Twitch, Nightbet. I'll see y'all later. Bye. And then there's YouTube. All right, YouTube. We're going to say bye here as well.